Public Schools. A copy of this meeting notice was forwarded to City Hall for posting. This is a regular advisory board meeting Tuesday, September 28th, 2010. Mr. Jeffries.
Here.
Ms. King.
Here.
Mr. Lamort.
Here.
Mr. Lewis.
Here.
Ms. Pintor.
Here.
Mr. Rivera.
Here.
Ms. Romero. Ms. Davis Spate. Ms. White.
I gave you just a short. If you want to add to it.
Okay, we'll have our flag salute this time. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first step we'd like to take, first we want to welcome everyone to our advisory board meeting. Thank you very much for coming out tonight. First step we'd like to take is to recognize that we have a new student member of our advisory board for the 2010-2011 school year, Ms. Suliat Oyinda Olusanya. Suliat was born in Nigeria and came to America in June of 2002. She's a senior at Science Park High School with a stellar GPA of 3.53, and she ranks in her class as 38 out of 199 students. She was a member of the policy debate team in her sophomore and junior years, and is currently a member of the Public Forum, the basketball team, the chorus, the National Honor Society, and the softball team. Upon graduation, Suliat plans to major in political science and history, hopefully in the state of Texas. Suliat received high recommendations from administrators, teachers, and peers, and described as a hardworking, self-motivated, and charismatic individual with a passion for others. Suliat will be a voice of students in the district and an asset to the Newark Public Schools Advisory Board. Please give a round of applause for Ms. Suliat Oyinda Olusanya. We'll now swear in Suliat.
I know you've been busy, but I was trying to set up a meeting about the facility thing we had talked about.
Okay. Just go. Just go, Angela.
Okay, I had no time.
We will now move to a resolution that the board would like to submit to the New Jersey School Boards Association. This resolution involves encouraging the state to fully fund the SFRA, the School Funding Reform Act of 2008. Last year, the Supreme Court for the state of New Jersey held that the School Funding Reform Act must be fully funded by the state of New Jersey for 3 years. In this, with respect to this current fiscal year, the state decided to cut about $820 million from the School Funding Reform Act. That produced a $42 million cut for the Newark Public Schools, which produced a deficit of about $77 million for the Newark Public Schools. So this board, building on a resolution that the board passed in March, would like to have the New Jersey School Boards Association incorporate our resolution and to encourage the state of New Jersey to fully fund the SFRA. Do we have a motion with respect to this resolution?
Yes.
We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay, the resolution is passed. We'll now move to the report of Superintendent Dr. Janey.
Thank you, Mr. Jeffries, members of the advisory board, most importantly, our students who are here this morning, this afternoon, or this evening. All of the above. Students from First Avenue, would you just stand so we can see how wonderful you are going to present yourselves this evening? Turn around, please. Yes. You may be seated. I'd like to ask your principal, our educational leader in Newark, here at First Avenue, entering her second year at First Avenue, but previous years at Burnett as an outstanding principal. Ms. Jackson, would you introduce the school community of First Avenue?
Good morning, Dr.
Yes, that's what I say.
Good evening, Dr. Bailey, Ms. White, the advisory board president, and advisory board members. Welcome to First Avenue. It is our distinct pleasure to host the first meeting for the school year at First Avenue. We are very honored to have you visit our school. We have our choir who is here who will do a number for you. We have prior to our choir coming up, we'll have our parent liaison, Mr. Rand, really speaking on behalf of our school. And after Mr. Rand speaks, we will again have our choir stand up, give a rendition of one of our songs. And then after that, we will have one of our students who will actually recite the poem for all our members. Again, we do appreciate everyone coming out, parents, guests. We again welcome all to First Avenue School, a school that is moving forward with excellence. Everyone have a great night and thank you for being part of our great meeting today. My name is Carmen Duran. I'm the parent liaison with First Avenue. I'm so excited this year. I always get so sad at the end of June, and I'm excited for the beginning of the new year and new parents. I want to say thank you for the parents for coming out tonight. You have the most loving, caring parents at First Avenue and their families. We have a lot of workshops. We have open house opportunities. I want to say thank you for coming out and for supporting your students. Thank you.
Are they on the other side? No, we don't have these places. How can they have them? They just come up here. So we have one like here. No, it's not the same. I'll meet you over there since they're already there. Won't cause any confusion. Okay.
Hello, my name is Raylan Princeton. I attend First Avenue School. I'm in 5th grade, room 234. I'm going to recite a spoken word poem about hands that was written by Sarah Kay. People used to tell me that I had beautiful hands. Told me so often, in fact, one day I started to believe them until I asked my photographer father, "Hey Daddy, can I be a hand model?" To which he said, "No way." I don't remember the reason he gave me, and I would have been upset, but there are far too many stuffed animals to hold, too many homework assignments to write, too many boys to wave at, too many years to grow. We used to have a game, my dad and I, about holding hands, because we held hands everywhere, and either time either he or I would whisper a great big number to the other, pretending that we were keeping track of how many times that we had held hands. Hands learn more than minds do. Hands learn how to hold other hands. Hands learn how to grip pencils and mold poetry, how to tickle piano keys and dribble basketballs, how to grip the handles of a bicycle. They're the maps and compasses in which we guide our way through life. Nice and Middle Eastern hands clenched in Middle Eastern fists, pounding against each other like war drums. Each country sees their fists as warriors and others as enemies. Some people read palms to tell your future, but I read hands to tell your past. Each scar marks a story worth telling. Each caller's palm, each cracked knuckle is a missed punch or years working in a factory. You need a kids high five, but don't shake hands. You need a firm handshake, but don't hold on too tight, but don't hold on too soon, but don't hold on for too long. The other day, my dad looked at my hands as if feeling them for the first time, and with laughter behind his eyelids, and with all the seriousness a man of his humor could muster, he said, "You got nice hands, you could have been a hand model." And before the laughter can escape me, I grip his hand and shake my head at him. 8,002,754.
We turn the meeting back over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jackson and the students of First Avenue. I'd like to acknowledge the parents who are in the school this evening here at First Avenue. Could we have you stand, please? Parents and family members, either of students at this school or just students in general, thank you for coming out this evening. I want to acknowledge our new student. I want to acknowledge our new student advisory board member. She was introduced by Board Chair Jeffries this evening. And to let you know that there was a new process designed last year and approved by the advisory board, but designed by her predecessor, who's gone on to college at Rutgers in New Brunswick. And he thought that there ought to be a new way by which students are determined to be ready for this role that she's so wonderfully accepted. And I had a chance to interview her and another student for this particular role that she has right now. And she was a little nervous, but was very, very firm about her commitment to leadership. Very firm about her commitment to make sure the voice of students are going to be heard and heard in ways whereby adults would listen. And I'd like to ask her, with a little perhaps uneasiness, if there's any remaining, to just share with the public why she thought this would be an important way to lift voices of students in the school district of Newark, particularly to be heard by adults.
known that adults run the world, but children are the future, they know that. And for there to be a significant student or a significant set of students to actually be able to portray those ideas or opinions to authority is the only way things can be done in a progressive manner. So I thank you for this position.
We thank you. Chairman Jeffries pointed out the legal case that's going forward and Newark being a participant in the legal case regarding school finance and school funding. I want to report to the public how challenging it was this past spring and very painful it was to deal with a $77 million shortfall and balance the budget and not being able to go forward with as many employees as we were used to in the past. But having done so, we made a commitment to make sure, particularly our K-8 and pre-K-8 and our 5-8 schools had a plan for academic improvement, that every school would indeed have a counselor and a social worker and have students would have access additionally to the arts, a fine art teacher and a music teacher. And as we've opened up school this year, there have been some major challenges, and particularly one of our high schools with respect to scheduling. But if you, as a parent, have any concerns and you have not registered previously to speak this evening, I'm going to ask two people on the staff to stand up so before the meeting is over this evening, you can communicate any interest that you may have or any concerns that you may have with respect to the school where your son, daughter, or both attend. So would Miss Valerie Merritt please stand and wave your hand so parents here can see you? And Nancy Derrick, would you stand up? And if any parents would like to make connection with them during the meeting, please feel free to do so, and we will follow up on concerns and interests that you may have. I'd like to call before you our Deputy Chief Academic Officer, but have his work, or the work that was tasked to him, introduced by Ms. Sadie White, our Chief Academic Officer, as the central and only part of the formal presentation this evening regarding the new curriculum work that we did from the spring to this point in time. Ms. White.
Thank you, Dr. Janey. Good evening, board members. Good evening, community members. It is with great pride and pleasure to introduce and have a presentation by our Deputy Chief Academic Officer, Mr. Roger Leon, that will explain and also expand upon the work that was done by the Newark Public School community and teachers in particular, and the Office of Academic Services. The board this evening will vote upon a curriculum in various content areas. And why this is important, Mr. Leon will explain. But the bigger picture is that we have not had curriculum in some content areas at all, or we have not had curriculum upgraded in other content areas since 1999. Why this is important? Because we have New Jersey standards, which we follow, with the cumulative progressive indicators, which we follow, but within a school district, there's also curriculum by which teachers then pace the content and the skills that are taught to the students. Mr. Leon, thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Superintendent, Mr. President, members of the advisory board, and all of the members in attendance. The screen is supposed to, the screen.
Mr. Leon, the screen is supposed to come down. Board members, if you would join us in the audience, please. Thank you.
As Ms. White, I don't need it myself. All right. As Ms. White indicated, some of this overview is extensive work. Can I get a microphone that works? As Ms. White. As Ms. White articulated already, there has been some extensive work that began during the months of July and August to prepare our students for some of the important challenges that are ahead. The advisory board members received a white sheet of paper that was adopted on the 23rd of February, defining new graduation requirements for all of our high school students entering with the class of 2014. It is extremely important to keep in mind that all students graduating in the class of 2014 and thereafter are required to meet 130 minimum graduation requirements, which compares Newark Public Schools amongst some of the leading high schools and districts in the city. There is obviously the passing of the state test. There's an increase of 8 community service hours, and there's a senior thesis that students will be required to complete upon their senior year in order to get a high school diploma in this city. During the course of the summer, there were identified teachers that began to write curriculum all across the content areas. It is extremely important for everyone to be aware that the new standards from 1999 were adopted in the area of language arts, literacy, social studies, and mathematics just this June. And that, in fact, some of the work that was addressed to Chairperson White, who sits on the Newark Public Schools Curriculum Subcommittee in August, as well as our presentation to them in early July, suggested the following: that there are some books that are outdated, that there is in fact curriculum that teachers are utilizing that is not in keeping with the standards. And part of the attack, the onslaught that you will see before you, will be addressing all of these areas. The state has given all school districts 2 years to conduct a gap analysis. While we will take advantage of that time, we will move forward now to address some of these areas. Although this is specific to the work that the teachers are doing, there are 4 columns that are in yellow. As we move from left to right, there was a 3-hour presentation that was given on all of these areas and in the topics that I'm about to briefly go over with you. We begin the curriculum guides with essential questions. We move through instructional objectives where cumulative progress indicators are defined. These are the indicators that define the standards by which every child in the state of New Jersey is to be taught by every teacher in the given content area. So grade 2, not in Newark Public Schools, but grade 2 across New Jersey has cumulative progress indicators that every student is responsible to master in grade 2 and across the grades, as early as K through 12th grade. The third column are some assessments, some type of research-based assessments that teachers wrote during the course of the summer that they found as a result to experiences that they have had where they have incorporated into this curriculum guide. And then the last column are more suggested resources where links are provided to teachers online where they can actually gather some very important information to assist our students. A curriculum guide is not the end-all. It focuses on what the state requires of our students, with the understanding that part of the responsibility of every teacher in all of our schools throughout New Jersey is to bring about the very essence of what it is that they are required to teach, focusing on the curriculum and obviously addressing and meeting the needs of the state test. But the state test is not the maximum requirement, it is by far the minimum. So here we begin. In the area of visual and performing arts, there are 2 areas in grades 4 to 8 that are being addressed, and that is in the areas of instrumental music, as well as string in grades 4 to 8, and in the area of vocal music in grades 9 through 12. So the elementary grades are looking and focusing on instrumental music, and the secondary schools on vocals. In the area of health education, we have rewritten the entire curriculum, grades kindergarten through 12, without exception. It is extremely important to note that we do have a pilot at Maple Avenue School, which is a partnership with North Beth Israel and Kids Fit, where we are actually focusing on nutrition and health, which permeates throughout all of the grades 8 through 12. In the area of mathematics, we have focused on how we are going to ready and prepare students for a calculus experience in our high school, advanced placement courses, where we will have students realize their potential in high school, getting them college credit in high school, and readying them for the college experience. In order to do that, we will build. We have a pre-calculus course that is new, an Algebra 2 course that is new, a geometry course that is new, and an algebra course, an Algebra 1 course that is new. We have a 6th through 8th grade math curriculum that is completely new. When the Newark Public Schools purchased the 6th through 8th Connected Math book, we never wrote an actual curriculum guide. We now have a curriculum guide in grades 6 to 8. Part of the objective is to do the following. We want to build. We want to create and assist. We know that we have geniuses in all of our classrooms, but we want to build that from the bottom up. Grade 6 through 12th grade, we will focus and revamp and change. There's an entire new math series in the high school. The 6th through 8th textbook is new. The 6th through 8th textbook is not new. The 6th through 8th textbook has been in the district for about 5 years. We know the following, that in order to solve the problems in the secondary schools as it relates to the teaching of mathematics and preparing our students for an incredible math experience in the high school, we need to go below grade 6 through 8. There is no work that we did during the course of the summer. We will begin all of the work in grades K through 5 during the course of this year, readying and preparing curriculum during the year, finalizing the work during the summer, and then beginning to plan during the year so that during the summer we train teachers in the curriculum to ready them for the experience. So ultimately what we will do is we will build from the bottom up. Right now we're going from the top down, and what we're doing is building and preparing our students for a far better and far richer mathematics experience in our schools. In the area of science, it is extremely important to note that the biggest concentration was in the area of environmental science and in the area of biology, with Central High School having a special pilot in botany. So we're offering a course only at Central High School in the area of botany with the objective of piloting this course, it being a success, and then offering it to other students throughout all of our high schools in the Newark Public Schools. As it relates to social studies and multicultural education, you need to be aware of the following. The world history course that we have offered in our school district needed to get into the 21st century. So we actually rewrote the entire world history curriculum. The new graduation requirements for the class of 2014, which are our current freshmen, and all of the students that come thereafter, the class of 2015, which are our 8th graders, 2016, our 7th graders, 2017, our 6th graders, 2018, our 5th graders, and so on. All of those students, in order to get a high school diploma, they must successfully complete a course called Financial Literacy. Currently, right now, we are offering 5 pilots in the Newark Public Schools. They are in grades 9, 10, and 11. They are at the following 5 high schools: at American History, at Science Park High School, at Technology High School, at East Side High School, and at West Side High School. Those 5 high schools are actually piloting this program right now. Our objective is to create during the course of this year an incredible experience for our students now, so that we'll then be able to offer this course to all students as they enter their sophomore year next year. The US 1 and US 2 courses are not listed here. All that you need to be aware of is that we have teachers that have worked really hard during the course of the summer writing curriculum, but they never actually wrote assessments, tests that are consistent with what they are required to teach. So that was a new requirement for all of the teachers during the course of this summer. If they wrote any course, they were responsible in writing an assessment that was equal to their work on the course. Since in years past they have not done that, we required teachers in U.S. History 1 and 2 to actually do that course. You should be very well aware as well as the following, that the Amistad Commission ordered a bill in which school districts all across New Jersey were required to focus on the incredible struggles, not only of the African American people, but the beauty that they possess as human beings and the changes that they have in fact brought about, not only to our state, but to our nation. So the Amistad Commission lives very, very well in our world history course, as well as in our US 1 and US 2 courses. Part of our responsibility was to embed the Amistad Bill's work so well that you would not be able to see a differentiation between any of the races. Unfortunately, the work that was done prior was embedded so well that we would not be able to distinguish the culture of the African American people. It is extremely important to also note that the same holds true for the incredible struggles of the incredible people in the 40s and prior, and others would argue thereafter, of the Holocaust and genocide. So part of what we did is not only give tribute to the African American people by creating and fulfilling the obligations that are in the Amistad Bill, but also to their Jewish counterparts who also share in an incredible struggle by rewriting a Holocaust curriculum and a new genocide studies course that will not only bring tears to your eyes, but will bring pride to the work that we are doing with your children in our schools. We end with the bilingual education. It is important for you to be aware that there are although we have students that have various languages, we have a number of schools that have students that have 35 different languages at their respective homes. That in fact, the beauty that our district brings with a new English as a second language course in the high school, because these courses are already written in the elementary grades. We have these students who are learning English as a second language in the areas of Spanish, Portuguese, and French Creole. As they're entering through the high school, part of what we want to do is focus on their responsibilities to learn the English language with the fundamental understanding of never forgetting their roots. So the English as a second language curriculum is completely new. And as a result, we present all of that curriculum during the month of July and August at a 3-hour session, of which the chairperson of the Newark Public Schools curriculum subcommittee, Ms. Nakia White, oversaw, and all of these areas were in fact presented to her in that city for the ultimate pride that we would have by being able to remove the word draft from all of these curriculums and be able to move forward with the communication to all of the schools that they have been in fact adapted in full by the Newark Public Schools Advisory Board. Thank you.
Mr. Lewis, before we go to you, Mr. Lewis, I'd like to have some words from Chairwoman Nakia White, who's the chair of the board's Academics and Curriculum Committee. I know she worked extensively with Ms. Sadie White, Mr. Roger Leon, Dr. Jamie, in the district. So I'd like to have her speak to this curriculum effort because I know she's been intimately involved in that as well. Ms. White?
Good evening, everyone. Curriculum is just one part of what a student really needs to learn. And I must admit that I'm excited as well as the curriculum committee. We're excited about the new curriculum and the potential for our children to learn and grow. However, I think it's important for the curriculum to be rolled out in an efficient way, where students, as well as teachers, as well as parents, as well as principals know about it. It's one thing for the board to know about it, it's another thing for the curriculum committee to know about it. But in order for it to be effective, in order for it to work, in order for our children to benefit from it, teachers, students, and principals have to know. And at this point, I am not certain that that's the case. So it is important to me, and it is important to the rest of the board members, to make sure that our students have everything that they need, including books, in which some cases they do not have. Everything that they need to make sure that they succeed. We are falling behind, especially in urban areas. We are falling behind. We cannot have a world-class education if we can't provide them with world-class materials. A book, letting a teacher know about the new curriculum, letting a principal know about the new curriculum, parents know what the new requirements are. So I'm happy again, it's bittersweet, I am incredibly happy about the new curriculum and the work that was put into it by Mr. Leone as well as SAB White. But I am not happy with the rollout of the curriculum. So I hope that in the future, that when a great idea is brought to the table, is brought to the floor, that it's able to be rolled out in an efficient manner in which everyone can benefit from it. Because a good idea means nothing if no one knows about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. White. Mr. Lewis?
Just a few questions for Mr. Leon. First, I wanted to know about the K-5 curriculum. Is it going to be an update to the K-5 curriculum, or are they going to still use the same curriculum that they've been using in the past? And the second thing is, I'm not clear about what you said about the African American studies was so embedded that you wouldn't know that it was there. Can you please explain that to us a little in English, please?
Sure. Currently, right now, the K-5 mathematics curriculum is the curriculum that all of the teachers in all of the classrooms, in all of the schools across the district are actually teaching. Part of the work that we have in making sure that we change all of the immediate work that was occurring in the high school, that became the first priority. Obviously, building on that success is critical. So part of the work that will occur during the course of this year is to be meeting with teachers, be talking with experts, be just having discussions with the practitioners, so that we actually begin to focus on a K-5 curriculum that needs to be revamped during the course of the year for implementation for next school year. So the argument will be that for next school year we would have a new curriculum K through 12. As it relates to the work from the Amistad bill, if you go into any of the curriculum right now in U.S. History 1, you will find information that is about and what the Amistad bill speaks to. Part of what has happened, however, Mr. Payne, who is the author of the bill, is very concerned that school districts throughout New Jersey did such a good job of making sure that we were talking about what the Amistad bill spoke about, that we stopped talking about bringing about a sense of pride to African Americans and their struggle historically. So all of the curriculum that was written before does talk about the Amistad bill. You wouldn't know it if you read it, because they did such a good job in doing the writing that it was embedded so thoroughly that you can't see it today. And the problem with that is that part of the work that we have in our schools throughout New Jersey, not just in Newark, is the realization of the hard work of the good people in the legislature that went into writing that bill. First and foremost, not because of them, but because of what they were representing, a struggle that is not realized today by our students, by our teaching staff, but will definitely be demonstrated by the curriculum that they're required.
Ms. Leon, the reason why I'm concerned about the K-5 curriculum is because of that new detention policy that was put in place, that a child can only be left back once. And that curriculum do not support this policy because it do not help push our children forward. The second thing is about the African American studies. My problem with that is we have some teachers, history teachers, who would take the extra mile and teach our children about their cultures and go deep into it. Or we have other teachers that would just go by the book, just teach what they told them to teach. Now, my reason for wanting to enforce that our culture is being taught at the extra mile and some teachers are teaching in classrooms is because our children we don't want our children in one classroom to get the extra education that they should be getting. In another classroom, they just get an average cultural education study course. So I would like to see that with this curriculum, that we force our history teachers to go that extra mile and really get deep into not just African American studies, but all cultural studies in our classrooms. Because like I said, we have them teachers that it takes that extra mile, but we have them teachers that just will teach what they told to teach.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lewis. Any further questions, comments about the curriculum reforms, Vice Chair?
First, I want to thank the curriculum committee. Mr. Leon, in reference to the Holocaust and genocide, will this just be for what happened in the 40s in terms of the Jewish Holocaust, or will also the African American history of their Holocaust be included in this?
Oh, yeah. I know that when you were standing next to me, that was one of the points that you raised, and I'm glad that you did it in public as well, of course. The answer to that is yes.
Thank you so much. That's the reason I asked again, because I want people to know that it doesn't just stop with our history here. It talks about, what happened prior in our Holocaust, the good things and the bad things. So I just once again want to thank you and the committee for making sure this was in our curriculum.
Any other questions, Mr. Leon, regarding the curricular initiatives? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Call the roll. Okay. Will we have discussion on the motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Just possibly an amendment to the motion to make sure that, in voting for this, to make sure that teachers and principals know about it, and parents know about it, and that teachers are supported in teaching the new curriculum, and that they are provided with the proper materials in which to do that, in which to make sure that our students have the right materials so that they can meet these requirements to graduate. That's the amendment. How are we going to put that?
Okay. So we will, we'll take it as a friendly amendment, and the amendment is along the lines of Chairwoman White's point, that the implementation will happen along the lines she described. So, any other conversation on the amendment or the underlying motion? Okay, can we call the roll on the amendment, on the motion as amended by Ms. White?
Mr. Jeffries?
Yes.
Ms. King? Yes. Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Ms. Pintor?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Ms. Davis Spade? Ms. White?
Thank you. Thanks again to Dr. Jane, Chairwoman White, Sadia White, and the rest of the district with Fort Collins recommendation. Dr. J.
Yes, Chairman Jeffries, I want to just end this conversation that we've had this evening about the curriculum to let the public know what perhaps they already know. The first thing you do is research and investigate what are the best principles and already existing curricula that exist in urban districts. You research it, you investigate it, then you write it. That's what was done. The rollout begins in terms of ensuring that all of our leaders, not just leaders at the school level, but our classroom leaders, as well as our parent leaders, are informed about not only the intent, but what is expected in November, what is expected in January, what is expected in March. So the rollout will begin after we have made sure that this board understands the principles of how we begin to properly research and investigate what are the best kinds of curricula in the disciplines that we have here in Newark. That being said, the work is now about implementation. And in that vein, I'd like to call up two outstanding teacher leaders from Ann Street that are part of a national initiative so conceived and implemented by President Obama. So just quickly, I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Manny Oliveira. He's a technology coordinator at Ann Street, and Mr. Henry Navarro. Would you guys quickly come forward and so the public can acknowledge the work that you've done as NASA Fellows, the National Aeronautical Science Academy. And I see you wearing blue shirts today. Would you come forward? Matching ties?
Thank you, Dr. King. To us, this is not something new that we've been doing at Ann Street School and what we've been doing with our students. Every year, we try to look at what we're teaching, and we try to take our students a step above and beyond what they have seen or they see in their everyday lives and in their curriculum. And every year, since I've been in elementary school, I had a mentor, Manny Oliveira, that taught me how to take and think outside of the box and implement curriculum in a fun and exciting way. Last year, we had the opportunity, we had 5 of our students here with us today. We had an opportunity to take our curriculum and use it in the creation, the building, and pretty much the construction of a 15-foot skid, which is a boat, for those of us who understood what it is. And we had the opportunity to actually take that and we set sail on the Passaic River, as well as our students also had an opportunity. There they are. They had the opportunity, because of the work that they did, they had the opportunity to study marine biology on a 4-day weekend trip to Sedge Island in South Jersey, where they did a variety of different tasks and a bunch of things that they within the curriculum and within the curriculum that they have and within the Newark Public Schools that they normally aren't exposed to. And we're very proud of what we've done and what we did last year and what we've done from years before. And we continue, and we look forward to continuing what we've been doing and providing them with a little extra, a little something that takes them above and beyond what they are normally exposed to.
We also had the opportunity with Mr. Glenn Schuster with the NASA Fellows Program. This year, the projects are, I think I started in 1995. So every project since 1995, Mr. Schuster has it online. And we did webinars this year online with participants from across the United States. And he can further elaborate on the work.
Endeavor Science Teaching Certificate Project. And I'm based at U.S. Satellite in Rye, New York. And to give you 1 minute of context, we have over 125 NASA fellows, NASA Endeavor fellows around the country, most of whom teach students of underrepresented student populations. And this funding comes from the NASA Endeavor Trust, which was in dedication to the crew of the Space Shuttle Challenger. I'm glad it's Tuesday because I serve on my own school board up in Blindbrook in Westchester County, and our meetings are on Monday, so I'm happy to be here. And I thank you. And I'm thrilled to be a part of Newark Public Schools work. I've worked in the district part-time since 1995 at a number of schools, but at Ann Street School for 15 years. And we've had a terrific run of curriculum development with funding from NASA and the National Science Foundation. But we've piloted a lot of our materials in Newark Public Schools, particularly with Ann Street, that's won some national awards over the years. And what's special is that a lot of these particular programs and contexts of teaching science and math in K-12, whether we're tracking animals or whether we're increasing math scores using weather data or using 3D to teach science concepts better. These programs that were piloted here have now been used and evaluated by over 2,000 teachers in the last 10 years across the country. And I'm happy to say that they're all folded into the Endeavor project, so these NASA Endeavor fellows that receive training online and live with their instructors are using materials that were first vetted here. These NASA fellows across the country are working toward a certificate in STEM education from Teachers College Columbia and NASA, and it's a really exciting project. One of the most exciting elements about this project is the ability to identify not good, not exceptional, but unique and the very best of the best of the best material for our fellows across the country. And we find that, as you can see in the back, you can see the picture of the boat that was created in the formal grade 7 and 8 science classroom at Ann Street. That synthesis and the blend of inquiry and design that goes into that from these teachers is the best in the country. And the students that are here, these young ladies who built the boat, are here to just share their reflections. So I need to thank Newark Public Schools, thank the principal of the Ann Street School, Mrs. Linda Richardson, Dr. Chaney, advisory council members for the opportunity that I've had to work in Newark, with Newark, and to share the excellence that has come out of and continues to come out of Newark. So I just want to turn it over to some of the young ladies here who had an opportunity to work with these two exceptional teachers, Mr. Barron and Mr. Oliver. Girls?
A drill or any kind of saw, a belt sander. So coming into this project, when we first started actually building the boat, it was new, and I'd really like to thank my teachers for it, for all the help, because if not, I would never pick up a power tool in my life. And besides actually building it, the math, our 8th grade algebra class was mostly the students that were selected to build the boat. And we already had prior knowledge with equations and formulas and all that kind of stuff, but once it came time to build the boat, we were introduced to a lot more than what we already knew. Like, we learned a lot about angles and circles, because when it came time not just building the big boat, but we also built small boats and scale work. We had to do a lot of that. And science came in when we worked with buoyancy, because we were very afraid that our boat would sink. But it didn't, so that was good.
In building the
we also learned the aspect of teamwork. In the beginning of the school year, not many of us were really close. And as we built the boat and we worked together, we learned how to work together. We did everything together. We made mistakes together. We succeeded together. And in the end, we all became one really close family. And building a boat was something new to me. I'd never built one before. And we also, in building this boat, went to a field trip to Henrique's Yachts, and we met a man named Henrique. And he was from Portugal, and he came from a very poor family, but now he became very successful and he owns a very big company. So he gave us inspiration to always follow our dreams, and yeah, thank you.
I came to class one day, and then my teacher goes, "Today we're going to build a boat." I never ever thought I would build a boat. To build a boat, I thought it was going to be difficult. You know, a genius would have to do that. And then when we went to the trip of Enrique's Yachts, I knew that he came from Portugal, and he only had until 4th grade of school education. And to see someone come from education like that and to finally be building big boats that big yachts, more specifically, that big companies use today was a big surprise. And I'm so glad I had the experience to work with my algebra class. I learned lots of mathematical equations. I learned about buoyancy, and I'm really glad I got to build a boat. Yeah.
Well, as I mentioned before, we had to build models. We each had a partner, it was like a pair, and we had to build a model, but it had to be to scale. So me and my partner, our boat went through a lot. It broke down 3 times, and then it split in half, and well, we used hot glue, and a little bit of duct tape. But it was okay, because at the end, it resembles a boat if you squinted really hard. But it was a thought that counted, so. Well, from that experience, we learned that a boat isn't only putting pieces of wood together. It's more than that. The strongest piece of wood had to go in the middle, but it had to be light enough to support everything and to float and all that. And you needed a sail so it could help it float. And yeah. I think everybody said it all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Actually, I wanted to correct one thing that one of the young ladies said, because she said that she didn't think it took a genius to build the boat, but I think we see 5 geniuses in front of us.
If I can make a comment, I think what she meant was, even us as educators, when Mr. Brown and I first took on this challenge, you don't have to be an expert at everything. You need to have a passion for learning and a work ethic like no other. And if you put those 2 together, your passion for learning and work ethic, this is the result. Kids who are inspired to be somebody. You know, we showed them Mr. Enrique's, they speak about a gentleman who came over with 4th grade education, and we're talking not just well off, he's a multi-millionaire. He owns a marina. His yacht has more rooms than my house has. He took us to him. Just showing them that this could be you someday. You know, I think that's our job to inspire. I think we've done that. It's thanks to the board and our leaders, and that's what we need more of, you know, to inspire us. Thank you.
I just want to thank Mrs. Richardson. I know that one thing that I know that you teach your staff and that you have your staff teach your kids is you alone can't run that school, and your staff works with you every day hard and teaches the values that you set forth for your staff to set forth to those kids. I just want to thank you, and I know everyone on this board thanks you and your staff for doing such a phenomenal job. Where these, I know 5 young ladies, and I think 3 of them personally, the majority of them are already in high school, and they are thriving and doing well, so thank you.
Thank you.
Wanted to say good job to Manny Oliveira and Henry Burram. Great job. Thank you so much for all the work that you put into our children. But I did want to rewind back for a second to a comment that Dr. Jamie made earlier in reference to the curriculum and it being rolled out and having to be vetted to the curriculum committee as well as the board. We were introduced to the new curriculum in August, and I just have a couple of real simple questions. Dr. Jamie, how long does it honestly take to roll out a curriculum? One. And secondly, if it's going to be rolled out in November to parents, teachers, and students, what time will teachers have to learn the new curriculum? Well, I mean, how will they build capacity to learn this new curriculum? And thirdly, my final question before you answer, my final question is, do we have books for the new curriculum, or are we using the same books that we used before? I'm not quite sure of those particular things, so if you can help me provide some clarity, that would be helpful.
Let's take them one by one. 2 or 3 months to roll out our curriculum, depending on how wide you go and how deep you go, but that would include first teachers, and then you would make sure your principals and support staff, your support administrative staff would be intimately engaged in that process, and then we would roll it out to the broader community. Your second question, when would this happen? We've got money through the Jobs Education Fund. We've got about $23.6 million, thanks to Senator Lautenberg and other legislative leaders at the national level that came through for school districts in New Jersey. And Newark was the beneficiary of about $23.6 million, which allows us to spend down on that for this academic year, and we could roll some of the money into the succeeding academic year, but mindful that you don't want to spend it on things that are going to cost you in the long term. So you don't want to necessarily hire X amount of people for which you would have all those obligations in terms of health benefits for the next 5, 10, 15 years, because this is short money, and that's the purpose of it. So we can make good on it by spending down appropriately for additional time that we would need beyond the school day and beyond what's called for in the current contract. And we will be sitting down with our respective colleagues in our unions, both the administrative union and the teachers union, to begin to hammer out those details as far as the rollout. And the last point I think you mentioned had to do with materials. And you know as well as I do, the textbooks are not the curriculum. The curriculum is the curriculum, and textbooks become. It is a tool, but here in Newark and sometimes I've seen in other districts, the textbook has become a curriculum. And
Well, Dr. Jamie, in this instance, we have curriculum. So I guess the more specific question is, if we have books that will be able to, for the curriculum to be able to be taught. I understand that
yes.
the curriculum, I'm very clear about that concept, that curriculum and books are different things.
Right.
I'm clear about
Right. The long answer is yes. And Mr. Jeffries, that concludes my report. And I want to thank, as board members did, not only Ann Street, but First Avenue, and the narrative that we'll see across the district and other schools that will be hosting board meetings throughout the academic year.
things over to the Vice Chair for the Parental Engagement Community Relations.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you so much. I also want to thank Manny Elvira and Henry Barum and the students at Ann Street School for a job well done. And I want to join in with Dr. Janey in thanking all the parents that came out here this evening. And we know that it's very, very important, and the parents are a crucial part of the success of our children. The Parental Engagement and Community Involvement Committee will be going out to all the regions here in the city of Newark to engage the parents and to discuss any concerns or anything you would like to discuss in the very near future, and we'll make sure it gets out to the schools and that you all know about it. But to that, the North Public School Advisory Board Community Relations Committee wishes to recognize parents who are making a difference in the lives of our students as individuals and in our district as a whole. With approximately 39,000 students in the North Public School, there must be many, many exemplary parents. This parent recognition program, which began in 2004, will continue to shine the spotlight on those who support the district's 6-point parental involvement model, which consists of parenting, communicating, volunteering, learning at home, decision-making, and community involvement. We are pleased to recognize one parent from each region at each advisory board meeting. And if the new student representative would assist me in giving out the letters of appreciation and taking pictures with the parents, I would appreciate that. The parents were nominated by the children's principals. Tonight's Parents Recognition Award recipients are, from the Central and East Region, Astrid Romero from Wilson Avenue School. From the West Region, Venus Wilson from Alexander Street School. From the North Region, Dania Calderon from Franklin School. And from the South Region, Brittany Jackson from Chancellor Avenue School. Congratulations to all of you.
Thank you, Vice Chair King. Thank you very much. I think Ms. Spade has some points she'd like to share. Ms. Spade.
Yes, thank you, Chair Jeff. Dr. Jane, I just wanted to bring to your attention a couple of things that occurred through the beginning of the school year. Well, school started on September the 2nd, and it was children that had an IEP, and that was classified on last year. And
I talked to quite a few parents, and not only other parents, but myself. My son was classified in June of last year, so I didn't know where he would have been placed, but I went to Harriet Tubman on the first day of school, and the child study team, she said, well, I'm not sure if the lady was laid off that does the placement for the elementary schools, or if she's on vacation. I'm not sure what the case might have been, but my son was not placed into a classroom until last week. I talked to several parents on this week. Their children are still not placed in the classrooms that they're supposed to be in. Not only was my son placed in another classroom, he had to go to a totally different school. But it's just unfair to the children that's not placed in the right classroom and in the beginning of a school year to now have missed out on 3 weeks of, almost 3 weeks of learning. And parents are still dealing with this issue of not knowing where their child is going to go. So I'm not sure what can we do to resolve this issue, but we still have students in the district that has an IEP now and are in a classroom that they do not supposed to be in. And parents came to me asking me questions. I didn't call down to the district as a board member, I was calling down to the district as a parent because I didn't want any type of special privileges. I wanted to experience what other parents in the district was experiencing, and I experienced it, and it's a loss of 3 weeks of class. So it basically hurt my heart to see other parents go through it, and then my son go through it, because we know how our children are. That first day of school means a whole lot. And for him to move out of a school that he's comfortable with into another classroom, other peers, it's not fair to the children. So I'm not sure what we can do to resolve this issue, but it's not fair to the kids at all. So I'm not sure who is in charge of that. I'm not sure if she was on vacation or if she was laid off. I'm not sure what went on, but it's really not fair to the kids at all.
Well, we agree that it's not fair, that it'll be acted upon right away, and if it takes on the responsibility of people being held accountable for it at whatever level, it'll be done. But at the same time, we've got to make sure the kids get service. And if they need additional service, we'll make that happen too. But I need the facts, and if you have some that may not be in the hands of Ms. White, let us know after the meeting tonight. We'll act on it tomorrow.
Okay, so the facts of
the individual parents.
Okay, well, I'm one of the parents.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
all right.
But the names of the parents' contact information will act on it tomorrow.
Okay, so I can't give you every parent name, but you can, I guess, see what kids was placed that's not in the school that they're supposed to be in or the classroom that they're supposed to be in.
Right, and this is why we had set up each year a command center, because there was a practice of not providing the implementation of the individual education plans for some time in October. And we had almost a 24/7 kind of command center established to make sure this did not happen. But I can assure you that whatever action is necessary for the action that was not taken by adults, they'll be held accountable, but at the same time, the services need to be provided to kids right away.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Bailey, thank you, Dr. Kennedy.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Lewis.
while we're talking about that subject of IEP, Dr. Jamie, if you or Ms. White have an update on the ABC children, their placements, and have it been finalized, or we still have children that need to be placed?
Ms. White, would you respond to Board Member Lewis's question?
Thank you, Dr. Jamie. As this state and our current reporting out, all ABC students have been placed and have received schedules in the schools that they were placed. Even more recently, the students who have been placed at Barringer High School have received their schedules and have been placed and are in classes.
Let me add to that, Mr. Lewis and board members. I shared with you and the public last Tuesday at the business meeting that the major problem that happened at Barringer is being addressed very seriously and quickly. When it came to our attention, I directed staff to look at it in 4 different ways. First, to find out what the root problem was, not just what appeared to be the problem, which was students coming from ABC adding to the roster of students at Barringer. And then number 2, to find out who was responsible for the mess of scheduling at Barringer High School. And then holding those individuals accountable. So next week we're holding investigatory hearings about the evidence and interviews, from which we'll be making a decision as to what kind of adverse action will be issued to staff because they were central to the problem. So after we have done that, we're making sure that the student schedules, as Ms. White just reported, have been repaired and fixed. And then finally, I shared with the board that whatever time was lost, because if I, Clifford Janey, was a student at Barringer, and my schedule was either incorrect, incomplete, or both, we're going to make sure there will be time allotted to students to make up what they missed in class because of their inadequate or their incomplete, or both of those 2 factors together resulted in my missing 5 periods of Algebra 2, as an example. And again, we're able to spend on appropriate accounts to draw down the resources that are necessary to provide additional learning for students who lost time. Not to their problem at all, or they caused the problem. It was an adult problem that manifested itself in the schedule that resulted in students' loss of instructional time, so we'll be making it up.
Thank you, Dr. I just want to confirm too, because I think it's very important for parents and guardians of the city to understand. Considering what Dr. Janey said, I understand it's one-to-one compensatory aid. Is that right? So if you miss 1 day of class, you get 1 day of comp ed. You miss 2 days of class, 2 days of comp ed. So that the point is that for every minute of time that a child missed due to no fault of his or her own, or his or her parent, that this district will make sure that child receives every minute that they're supposed to. So I just want to make sure everyone's clear about that, and that message goes out to the community for any parent, any child who may have been affected by these hiccups. So that's very important. Please spread that word. We want every child to get every minute that they're entitled to. If anything, we know our kids need even more time on task, not less. So we can make sure that message gets out to the community. Ms. Faith? Okay, I'm sorry, Ms. Faith. Mr. Williams.
While we're also talking about the first day of school, Dr. Janey, the community people have been coming to me and they said, we're talking about the mess that happened at Barringer, but what about the mess that happened at HR, as far as the placement of teachers and staff, and for all that been rectified as well?
Yes. And Dr. Miller, we want to report on what we have as vacancies and assignments by region.
Yes, I'm pleased to report that we are at least as well off or better than we were last year at this time, with very few vacancies at this point. One that we need most are librarians. We need 5 of them. In the north, we have 8 vacancies total. That will probably be fewer tomorrow since we have a meeting on that in the morning. We have 7 in the East Central. We have 6 in the South. And we have 6 in the West.
So, Dr. Are you saying that there are no other vacancies in the district other than these librarian positions?
Oh no, the librarian ones were the ones that we had the most vacancies of. We have a physics vacancy, 1 art, 1 music, several bilingual. But the most vacancies we have are librarians.
So meantime, while we have no vacancies, what's happening with the services?
Yeah, let me take that question and sort of reframe it so the public would understand. When there's a vacancy, our goal is to put in a person whose minimally on their way towards certification. So it isn't a random selection of someone who just has 60 hours beyond the high school diploma, which makes you eligible to become a substitute teacher, 60 hours. So we're looking at someone who's very close to earning one's certification and filling the vacancies with those types of individuals. I checked on it today myself, and as a regular kind of overseer of this effort to make sure we didn't have any one school or any one region with a presence of vacancies that would make someone behind further than any other region or any other school. So there's not a concentration. It's a random kind of distribution of vacancies that have occurred. And I think last year when the report was filed about highly qualified teachers, and we know that that isn't necessarily the only or the best way to determine whether a teacher is effective versus highly qualified by the standards of the federal government. Newark was 98.5 in the district. That snapshot won't be taken at the beginning of school, but we're mindful that it will be taken during the academic year, and we hope to exceed that. But right now it matters. The work that we do to make sure that vacancies are not going to be filled randomly by anybody, but making sure that these vacancies everywhere possible are going to be filled by people who are very close to certification. So we're partnering with Kane University, with Montclair University, and other sourcing partners, as we call them, that are providing us with individuals, and principals are interviewing prospective teachers as we speak when we do have vacancies and we have people that they'd like to consider for appointment.
Is these vacancies are part of the reason why we are upping our numbers of students in each class?
Well, we've increased enrollment in a number of our high schools. We won't have our official enrollment count until October 15th. But besides, when you take an official enrollment count, a principal and a teacher knows that certain schools and certain classrooms require additional staff. Such was the case in Malcolm X Shabazz. As we opened up school, I think there are over 8,000 students, 1,043 maybe students enrolled, which is higher than what was projected. So you make changes as you see them, and not necessarily wait for an official count to take action on where we have situations in which require additional staff. So we didn't rely upon our new system of information. It's called Power School. We go out to schools and actually count students because we don't want to have information that will end up being unreliable or by chance inaccurate. And so when we make staffing decisions about adding or deleting, we want to make sure it's done by actual counts.
May I give a specific example of what you just talked about? Just yesterday morning, we added two vacancies in our kindergarten teachers at Lafayette, and so that we could balance the class size.
So now, a school that have over 700 students, and they only have 2 physical education teachers, how is that really going to work as far as the classes?
We're constantly balancing the ratio of teachers to students, as Dr. Jane was saying, and we will make sure that we are as absolutely right as we can possibly be.
I'm just asking these questions because these are questions, Dr. Jane, that other people have shared with me, asking to me, because the problem is when they call down to central office, they don't just want to go straight to you for all the questions. They go to the specific people and they can't answer these questions, or they're not executing these questions in a timely manner. Some people said they asked these questions 2 weeks ago, and still haven't received a response.
Then
So the execution.
Yeah, let me share with you, Mr. Lewis. Not to cut you off, but you want to finish your point? Yeah. When something has not been adequately or faithfully responded to by a staff member, feel free to call my office on behalf of individuals who have not received an answer from a particular division, department, or office. It should not be lingering and festering and causing additional problems than what the original request was. So, I mean, you don't need my permission to do that. I'm just affirming that that's something that, board members should be doing and have been doing before. So let me know.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lewis. We will now move on to the resolution regarding the 4 piloted courses. Excuse me. We will now move on to the resolution regarding the 4 piloted courses at Central High School. Ms. White? Well, wait. Yeah, I prefer not to have a second just for 1 minute, because I just don't know what that is. So if Dr. J and Ms. White, Mr. Leon, so we just give a quick explanation of what this resolution is, I appreciate it.
Ms. White, do you want yourself or Mr. Leon to?
Yes, if Mr. Leon could come back to the dais to explain the piloted courses at Central High School, please.
As the superintendent already indicated, Central High School is one of our six schools, and part of their grant was to focus and implement some curriculum changes to the school to address needs of that student body. Some courses actually are in fact being offered that require approval, 2 in the area of history, and then 2 in the areas of the sciences, and they're for you in that board resolution. So these are 4 classes that are specific at Central High School. It's just piloted during the course of the year. We just want to be on record that in fact they will be piloting these courses with the intent of implementing them throughout. Similar to what is occurring at Maple Street School, Maple Avenue School, which is that Kids Fit program. It's a specific program that is focusing on some health initiatives with a partnership at Northwest Israel, at Maple Avenue School, and it will be specific to that school for the course of the year, with the understanding that if in fact at the end of the year it's a course viable, we will then offer it throughout the district. So there are 4 at Central and 1 is at Maple Avenue.
Thank you, Mr. Leon. Any questions about this program?
Excuse me, Mr. Leon, would you remain?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Lewis?
Only question is, I see the resolution twice. I see Kids Fit at Maple Avenue School, and then I see the Kids Fit program. Now, it's like 2 separate resolutions.
It should only be 1.
Well, it's listed twice, that's all.
Okay, thank you. No, good catch, Mr. Lewis. So, any questions about the Kid Fit at Maple Avenue School resolution? That's the one you want to move. Is that right, Mr. Leon?
There are 2, the one at Kids Fit is only 1 program, and then the 4 at Central High School. I just referenced the one at Maple Avenue School, just in case you had a question with regards to that as well.
Vice Chair.
It's not a question, I just want to say the principal of Central High School and a representative from Maple Avenue School did come to the curriculum committee and discuss it, so it's really good.
Any questions? We have a second. Okay. Vice Chair, call roll, please.
Jeffries?
Yes.
Ms. King? Yes. Mr. Newark?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Ms. Cantor?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Ms. Davis Faith?
now move to our financial resolutions. I do want to, before, okay, let me, do you have a question about P17 this way?
I have a question now. Number 5 is also
Okay, because P17, I'd like to take a motion to table. The board had a series of questions that we raised with respect to P17 last week. I do know from conversation with Dr. Jane and Ms. Wilson that the vendor with respect to P17 made some additional concessions to provide more profit for the district. But I think there's other questions that we have some time to resolve. So if we can get a motion to table P17 and cut that out, we can deal with that as a public business meeting. First, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Now, Ms. White, do you have a question on another piece of the packet?
Could I make a suggestion that somebody move in second P1 through 32 less P17 and then second and then.
Well, no.
I think she has a question on
Starting with number 5. I would like more clarification on number 5. And I'm wondering if there's a linkage between number 5 and P17. If the consultant, if there's not a linkage between the two.
There's no linkage between P17 and P5. P17 is an energy conservation piece and has some educational components to it. P5 is SchoolNet, which is associated with purely the academic side of the house, having to do with assessments and interpretation and analysis. Ms. White, can you assist?
I think that's why I mean number 5, not P5.
Not P5.
Number 5, not P5.
Competitive contract with the energy facility consultant.
Yes, they are tied together. That would be the process by which you acquire the contract. That was the request to competitively go out for competitive contracting to acquire the contract. So that process has already occurred. So what we are looking at is the award of the contract, which would be P17, which is being pulled.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wilson. But for the new information, I don't feel comfortable voting on P5 P17 or number 5. It's
It looks like, so, Ms. Wilson, clarify to Ms. White's point. So number 5, that is the source of authority to actually go bid out for.
And the process which you would use, competitive contracting is, you've got to do certain things. You've got to advertise, you had to do the bidding process to in fact get to, so that's okay.
So even if we wanted another vendor, for example,
We're gonna have to.
5 it says that
We would
it
have
can
to.
bid,
We would
but
have,
if we have a problem with this vendor or whatever the reason may be,
we would have to come back before the board, request permission to go out for competitive contracting again, and then do that, select a vendor, come before the board for the approval and award of the contract.
Thank you for clarification. I'm fine with it now. Thank you.
Okay.
all right, thank you, Ms. White. Any other questions about any element of the finance package other than P17, which we've already removed? Mr. Close.
P15, the garbage collection,
Yes, Mr. Lewis.
that went out on bid.
Yes, it did. It went to 11 vendors, with 4 vendors responding. It is a 2-year contract period.
Did, just a question, did the city of North Sanitation, apply for this bid?
I don't think so. I think Faris was, I don't have all of the vendor analysis here, so I have to get back to you on that. The city of Newark typically does not bid on our contracts, Steve, because they don't do
I believe they sub
private.
garbage out.
Could you come to the mic, Mr. Morgan?
To my knowledge, they have not bid on this in
the last recent 10 years, to my knowledge. And I believe that they sub some of that work out.
They can't handle the city work, so in order, and sub that out. So they would not be capable, I think, to bid on our work, which would be additional.
And while Mr. Steve is still up there, can you please explain to us the roofing? Because I see here it was roofing supplies. You also have the Camden Middle roofing. You also have the school stadium also. Can you explain to us the items?
Can you read the numbers to me, which ones you're referring to?
Okay, we said P
Talking about
22,
F2.
F1, F2,
and F3.
and F3.
F1 is a change order for the school construction project. That's a change order within, I'm not sure, I don't have it in front of me what exactly that change order is, but it's within the contingency of the original contract price for that project. It does not take it above that.
So there's no change in that price. It's the same price that we already bidding.
That's correct. There's a contingency built into that contract.
Mr. Williams, can I ask you a quick follow-up on that? I'm just curious, how does the process work once we hit that ceiling on change orders? Because it looks like we have a contingency of 1.3 million with respect to change orders on the school constructions, on the school's stadium contract. What happens if we get beyond? I mean, how does the process work once we hit that cap? And I ask that question because I know, for example, with the NJ PAC, there were tremendous overages in terms of the change orders, which created a huge problem for that facility. So I just want to make sure we're obviously covered in case we.
Yeah, I don't believe we're going to exceed the cap. The change order, again, is within the contingency amount, and most of it was for historical fill, unforeseen conditions. Legal can advise us better on that as to if we exceed the cap. We have not exceeded the cap, to my knowledge, on any of our projects.
But you feel confident we should, in this context, get it?
That's my, no, I don't expect that.
Mr. Lewis? Okay.
The other one was roofing at Camden, just to show you, that's a SDA grant to recoat the roof. Camden Street is one of the schools we're putting solar panels on, and in order to meet the requirements for the specification for the solar panels, the roof is being recoated to get a 15-year bond, so the panels can be placed on a roof that has at least a 15